Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. I have with me Ash from Cricket4Us 2.0, and we are going to discuss Pakistan versus New Zealand, or New Zealand versus Pakistan, however you want to put it. The second test, day 2, and yeah, there's a few talking points. Obviously, New Zealand batting for the whole day, so we're going to go over their innings so far, and also Pakistan's bowling and fielding and extras, which I think we're going to touch upon, I'm sure. So firstly, Asjad, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. This is my background is because the UK is about to go into full lockdown, I'm pretty sure, in about an hour or so. So this is me trying to, you know, make myself happier that, I'm not at home, sitting at home. I'm sitting at home, but outside it's beautiful. And, this is probably somewhere in New Zealand, isn't it? As you said before we
Yeah.
started. So yeah, probably Christchurch, as you said. Okay, so Pakistan then obviously posted 297 on day 1, and then going into day 2, we were saying that the first session is going to be really important, and Pakistan need to come out and get early wickets. Didn't do that for a little bit of time. Obviously, 52 for 1 is when the first wicket fell. The unlikely source, I guess, of Fahim Ashraf, but I thought it was a very good ball, to be fair, to Tom Blundell. But at the start, it looked pretty imperious. New Zealand looked pretty imperious. What do you think of the initial start?
Yeah, I think in the first 6 or 7 overs, they were on 4 for 0. And that's when you had Shaheen bowling peaches, you had Abbas bowling deliveries that they couldn't play. I genuinely thought a couple of them were edged because they didn't have the sound on. And then realized, no, that's just so close to the bat. Just Pakistan's bowling in the first half hour was good, right? But as time progressed, I think it was Latham who took the attack to Pakistan in after that first half hour. And goodness me, he just smashed a few that just reminded me how good of a player he genuinely is. Thankfully, though, as you correctly pointed out, that delivery from Fahim Ashraf seemed in a bit. Lucky breakthrough, I'd say, because it was given not out initially, but then reviewed and then taken back. So I'm glad that Pakistan got that first wicket. And then in the next over, Shaheen Afridi was lucky enough that Haris Sohail held on to the catch, because that was just like, my heart was beating like this when Shan Masood dropped another one. And Pakistan should feel lucky that that catch was taken. The DRS decision was correct, because Pakistan's luck with both of those as of late has been quite bad.
Yeah, DRS decisions have been pretty poor, like Sean Masood reviewing. I mean, what was that about? It was Plum at Tim Southey. And actually, talking of Tim Southey, as you said, Pakistan for the first, as you said, half an hour or so, bowled very, very well. And I think, yeah, but New Zealand were going for about a run and over, if not less, actually, at one point. And they were, no, they were weathering the storm, didn't they? They weathered the storm, and obviously they know the conditions. And then as Pakistan got a little bit, I don't know if impatience is the right word, but I think that is the correct word, actually. They did get a little bit impatient. And I think eventually people like Shaheen Afridi, who obviously is used to taking wickets early doors, was probably thinking to himself, this isn't working. And instead of sticking to a game plan, trying to set a batsman up, like Tim Southey did against Shah Masood, where he was patient, they were trying to look for those wicket-taking deliveries pretty much straight away, instead of being patient and then saying, okay, I'm going to go, back of a length, back of a length, back of a length, and then I'll bowl that in swinger. But Shaheen Afridi, I think, was bowling a little bit too full after that session, and then Naseem Shah, I think we'll touch upon, but he didn't have the best of days, I think, as well. But yeah, for Fahim Ashraf, that one that seamed in was a really good delivery. You're right, I was unsure because the impact looked like it might not be in line. So I was thinking, is the impact in line? But luckily it was. And that ball that Shaheen Afridi got Tom Latham out with was actually peach. Sorry, can't speak. Absolute peach. It really was an absolute peach to Tom Latham. So we know what he can do in good take. Okay, let's then briefly discuss. Obviously, Henry Nichols was on what, 3, I think it was, and Shaheen
Got a
Afridi.
list.
Shaheen
I've got a
Afridi,
list.
yeah, Shaheen Afridi. bowls. It was a peach. It really was. It was similar to that Tom Latham delivery, although a little bit more bounce, and he was more playing on the back foot, I'd say. And Henry Nichols just couldn't really do much about it, and it was caught a slip, so another slip catch, so tick there as well. But unfortunately, everyone's celebrating, and then the umpire calls no ball. Now, you rightly said that there were quite a few. Naseem Shah bowled 7. To be fair to Shane Afridi, I know it sounds really bad, but his only no ball was that delivery. And
Yeah, I don't blame Shaheen
it's
Afridi.
Pakistan's luck, isn't it? To a
Yeah,
degree that he bowled
yeah.
1, Mohammad Abbas bowled 1, but Sheen Afridi bowled Naseem Shah bowled 7. Sorry, but yeah, I mean, what do you think? A turning point, I would say, because obviously he's
Oh
gone on
yeah,
and he's on 89 not out now.
yeah. That partnership. That's what I'm saying. That was the beginning of that partnership. Otherwise, New Zealand would have been 73 for 4. Watling coming in with the ball still doing a bit, so it would have been a bit more of a challenge for someone like Watling to get into the pitch. But no, after that point, there were a lot of mistakes by Pakistan. But all in all, I think that because of that specific point in time, after that, Nichols was like, yeah, okay, I need to stay here as long as I possibly can. And Williamson's like, yeah, let's do what we did in the last game. Let's just do that. Let's just do that. And we'll just stay together. You play, I'll play, we'll chill out. And the Pakistani bowlers, as you said, I think the right word is impatient. They became a bit impatient. They were thinking, we should have got a wicket by now. Let's try something else. Let's try something else. That's the difference between a bowler who's taken 300 test wickets and a bowler who's taken around 50. I don't know how many Shaheen's take, but somewhere around 30, 40, 50 wickets in test cricket. And it's very apparent. They can't hit the ball on the same place on the pitch over and over and over again. And consistency is absolute key in this scenario and on this specific pitch, as we saw with Saudi, as we saw with Kyle Jamieson. For goodness sake, dude took 5 wickets and Pakistan was obliterated. So that's something Pakistan needs to do. Sorry, I keep going on about the bowling, but just in general, I think Shaheen Afridi is such a young prospect. He's been given that leadership of taking the reins from, Muhammad Amir and whoever before that. And maybe he's a little young, a little green, let's put it that way, to be given that responsibility. Great bowler, not doubting that, but I think he just needs a bit more refining before being handed those ceremonial reins for Pakistan's bowling attack.
Yeah, 100%. Because if you look at someone like Kyle Jamieson, he's coming to an attack. That he's actually a little bit older, but he's again new Test cricket. Shaheen Afridi has been around for a couple of years now, but even then, as you said, he's still green. He's young as well. And look, he's obviously Kyle Jamieson is not opening the bowling. They don't just look to him. They've got Tim Southey, they've got Trent Bolt, they've got Neil Wagner, even Matt Henry's coming now. So they've got options, and it isn't seen as him being the only spearhead for New Zealand. Whereas I think for us at the moment, he's seen as the prime threat, and that's pretty much, if you can see him off, then you've definitely got a chance with the other bowlers, and you can maybe cash in a little bit, which they did with Naseem Shah. And as you said, it's worth mentioning location's key, but also consistency is key as well. Consistency is key for Test cricket, right? As for Test bowling, like that, you're right. Consistency is key, and it's not just about. Sometimes you can bowl the wicket-taking delivery, and it's not the right ball to do so, and the batsman will just leave it. It's about setting a trap for a batsman and making sure that you have a game plan in play. And I think sometimes someone as young as Shaheen Afridi won't be thinking about that. He'll just be thinking, I need to hit the right spots, and that's it, rather than thinking, how can I specifically get this batsman out? I'm sure he does, but as you said, someone like Tim Southey is a lot more experienced, for example, and he'll have plans in place for each batsman, I'm sure. Okay, then let's very briefly, because go on.
Can I just very quickly touch upon a couple of points? So the point about Shaheen Afridi, I completely agree with you. One thing I want to mention, and I said it in my video as well, that Muhammad Abbas, because of the lack of speed in his bowling, players are coming out of the crease quite a bit to play him, right? So his entire effect has been negated. There's a stat, and you can watch on my video as well if you want, which basically just goes through the interception spots where Abbas is being played. And nowadays, and especially the New Zealand team, they're playing him really far down. I don't know why Mohammad Rizwan doesn't come up to the stumps. He's done it before. Why doesn't he come up to the stumps? He's
Yeah,
going 75 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour, right?
yeah.
Why can't he come up to the stumps?
Tom Latham was definitely so Tom Latham was quite clever. You're right, because when he was playing against him, he was coming forward and then he went back into his crease as well, and he did that to basically make sure that Mohammad Abbas wasn't comfortable bowling in the same areas, and he had to constantly adjust. And because we know that's what he's most he's most seen as being that consistent bowler who hits that line of length. And obviously, if you take that away from him, which using the crease can do, then you can definitely use it to your advantage. Although to be fair to Mohammad Abbas, the only thing I would say is that someone that springs to mind is Ben Stokes, who obviously tried to do that against Mohammad Abbas in the series at home. And Mohammad Abbas did clean him up a couple of times when he was trying to bat outside his crease. But
English pitches.
Yes, no, I was going to. Yeah, they're different, aren't they? So I was going to say that, and also I do think it's different players as well. And Ben Stokes is a lot more aggressive than someone like Tom Latham. So I think, yeah, that's something that he can work on for sure, Mohammad Abbas. But he looked a little bit more aggressive. Did you see his celebration when he got Ross Taylor out? He was pumped. Yeah, I've never seen him like that. Normally he's very quiet and he seems like this kind of quiet character. But he was, yeah, he looked like Neil Wagner after that wicket. He really did. Yeah, that was a really good ball actually to mention to Ross Taylor, I thought, from him. And Ross Taylor, again, is quite dangerous, so good to get him out. And then, as you said, yeah, that Henry Nichols one, if we could have got them 4 down, then it's a different story. But obviously, they put on how much they've put on so far, 115.
215.
If I'm right. 215, gosh, yeah. I was about to say 115, and I was like, no, that's wrong. 215. 215. So Kane Williamson, I was about to say Carl Williamson, but Carl Jameson in my head clearly still haunting me from yesterday. But Kane Williamson is on 112 not out, and Henry Nichols on 89 not out. Both set, and really Pakistan in a precarious position right now. So what we're going to see in day 2. Actually, before I say that, Kane Williamson, some of his shots, I mean, his shot making, some of it was just outstanding. Yeah, as you said, outstanding. There's a couple of flicks kind of through, so in front of square, kind of through between mid-on and mid-wicket, which are quality. A couple of on drives as well that we saw from Azhar Ali as well yesterday. And just a couple of cover drives as well. Just everything about him just looked effortless. And he's in such ridiculous form and proving why he is the number 1 test batsman at the moment.
Over 500 runs in 4 innings. This guy.
Ridiculous. Yeah, he's in ridiculous form.
Yeah, just absolute brilliant. And this is the thing, right? Kane Williamson, I don't know when he was dropped, but he was dropped as well. Later in his innings, he was dropped at least once, right? Which is crazy. And I know you probably got the stat in front of you as well, but I think it was on 80 odd. Right?
Yeah.
And then once again after he got his 100. So that's what I'm saying. Pakistan's catching and fielding, fine. We had that one spectacular effort by Haris Sohail, right? But after that point, they didn't do much. The fielding wasn't great. There were a few missed chances that I know if it was Australia, India, South Africa, New Zealand, they would have taken all of those catches.
I think one of them was tough, wasn't it, off Williamson? There was 2. One was the one where it went in between the 2 fielders and it was quite high. Yeah, that one was tough. I think that's when he was on 80 odd, I think. And yeah, that would have been, if we managed to grab that, that would have been a really, really good wicket. But yeah, I agree with you.
Because as soon as you do, there's a brilliant catch, right? The entire team's morale goes up. And when that goes up, that means the bowler is charging in, right? When those types of catches aren't taken, but catches like the one that Mohammad Rizwan dropped off of Williamson, was it Williamson? Was it Nichols? Of one of them, right? When that happened, then they're not going to do much, are they? The bowlers are going to just be very demoralized. They're not going to bowl well. They'll automatically lose confidence because they're like, we've just gotten that chance and the keeper's dropped it or the fielder's dropped it, you know?
Yeah, the issue is, as you're saying, that it does demoralize the bowler after that happens. And also it gives the batsman a thought in their head. They are annoyed that that's happened, but they're thinking to themselves, I've got a reprieve here. This could be my day. Let's go on now. And that's probably what Henry Nichols was thinking, because I think soon after he inside edged one for 4 as well. And he's probably just thinking, oh, well, this is my day. Everything's just going right for me. and that's obviously what happened. Okay, so then day 2 or day 3, sorry, is obviously soon upon us. What do you think is going to happen here? Because I think we can pretty clearly state that Pakistan need early wickets to have a chance to restrict them to anything. They're going to get a lead. It's just a matter of how big it is. But if they can restrict them to a lead, I would say between around 150, then you're talking, okay, this is okay, 150 or less. Anything over that, then I'm worrying, because with our batting as well and the pressure on them, I think it's going to be difficult. Because I thought personally we did quite well in the first innings, but it just hasn't quite pieced together for us in day 2. So what do you think?
So the way I see it is Pakistan needs to do two things that they didn't do in the first innings, I think, on day 2. Number one is, as you mentioned, that yes, Shaheen was bowling full, and that's why he got chances, right? Naseem Shah wasn't bowling full enough, right? Naseem Shah just loves to bowl that short delivery at 138 kilometers per hour, which they can easily spank over leg side or offside, right? Okay. Naseem Shah needs to, for me, I think Naseem Shah needs to be the key. Right? Second thing is Mohammad Abbas needs to have someone like Mohammad Rizwan come up to the stumps, right? That needs to be negated because every batsman is batting slightly outside their crease, right? Which means if they're getting that interception 2.5, 3 meters in front of him, right? That means that if he is pitching the ball up, it's not going to swing as much because they're connecting with the ball a lot earlier. Another point, sorry, I said 2, but there's another point. Not to bowl Shan Masood and Haris Sohail just before tea to leave all the pressure away, right? Ball 2 overs, went for 17. I genuinely saw no reason in them doing that, okay? You have Zafar Gohar. Yes, it's his first test match. Yes, it's not really a spinning track, but the ball did get ripped a bit, didn't it? When he got some of those deliveries on the cracks, it did spin. However, you're not going to utilize him as much. So I don't know. It's a bit weird. I would prefer if Pakistan come out, literally just come out guns blazing in the entire first session, only pace bowlers bowl, right? Only those 4 bowlers that we've talked about, Shaheen, Abbas, Naseem, and Fahim. They need to bowl, right? And then in the second session, if the first session has gone well, you need Shaheen and Naseem to come back because they're the younger ones. They need to come back while Zafar Gohar occupies one side of the pitch. That's what I think. Pakistan needs to look at more of an attacking approach, and hopefully by the second session they can be all out, and Pakistan don't have to have a really big lead. Don't have to trail by too much. But yeah, I think New Zealand 150 would be a good restriction, definitely. I was thinking 100, but 150 is still fine as long as Pakistan bats like they did on day 5 in the previous game.
Yeah, 100 is ideal, but that means we have to get 2 early wickets. It's just imperative, otherwise it's impossible. So and as both batsmen are set, I'm just trying to be realistic with it, I guess. But who knows? You never know. Pakistan can come out swinging, and we could suddenly be talking about, as you said, around 100. That would be amazing, and I think it'd be a much more competitive game. Let's be honest, because I think New Zealand seem to be able to bat on these pitches, and probably because they're at home and they are able. I feel like what they did and have been doing quite well is putting some shots away at the start where they think actually this is not the correct shot to play on this pitch early doors, and they'll just put it away. So for example, you don't really see them playing many cut shots, for example. You don't see them playing those type of square shots that you'd normally see. You see them mainly playing straighter, like Tom Latham was playing quite straight early doors, and then as you get more into your groove, and obviously you're seeing the ball better, and the ball is doing a little bit less, then Tom Latham did start to pull, and he started to play more of those kind of square of the wicket shots. So I think, yeah.
Just want to mention something, exactly what you said. Because they're playing straighter, that means if the Pakistani bowlers are bowling fuller, that will give it more chance to swing, therefore more chance of edges and things like that. Because I was watching this video by Kyle Mills. He was explaining why Southee and Bolt have been so good in New Zealand and over the past 2 series in New Zealand, right? And he was explaining this point that the Pakistani bowlers need to force the New Zealand batsman to drive the ball by pitching the ball full enough, not too full that you can just like smash it, but full enough to let it swing, and then try and bowl leg cutters to try and deceive. You know, Henry Nichols is a lefty, isn't he? So bowl leg cutters rather than trying to say, oh, I'm going to outswing the delivery. Try and bowl leg cutters, which is what Tim Southee does from a right-hander, the same thing that Trent Boult does. So I definitely do recommend, if anyone watching, do go watch that video. It's really insightful.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's it's interesting actually. Obviously, different pitches, as we mentioned. We talked about the England pitch, as you said, it's a different pitch to the New Zealand pitches, and it is amazing how you have to adapt your game, and that's obviously what the New Zealand players are used to doing as a batting unit. They adapt, their game to what's needed, and they're doing that very well. So let's see. Hopefully, Pakistan can get an early breakthrough, and we are talking about a competitive game. Okay, anything else you want to touch upon? Because I know you've got a list of things you want to mention. So anything you want to touch upon before we wrap up?
No, actually, we've gone through everything. It was just the big three: not bowling part-timers for no apparent reason, pitching the ball up, especially people like Naseem Shah, pitch the ball up, try and get the ball to swing. And third is that point about they're negating Mohammad Abbas, who is, by wicket standard, the best Pakistani bowler on field, right? Okay. Therefore, there's a reason why he used to get wickets, but they started to come forward to him a lot more. And that's just something that I've seen everywhere today, right? And I was thinking, oh, that's an interesting stat when they showed it on screen in the match. And it seems like New Zealand are following that trend. So Rizwan needs to come up to the stumps and try and restrict that batsman in place, so they can potentially get someone out. And yeah, early wickets are absolutely key. I don't know how Pakistan will use Zafar Gohar. He only bowled 11 overs. He bowled less overs than Naseem Shah, which is just absolutely mind-boggling, right? So if they are going to use him, as a lot of teams use spinners, Mitchell Santner, he bowled a lot more in the second innings. So maybe Pakistan, that's the mindset Pakistan have gone with. So fair enough. But I'd say Zafar Gohar bowls a bit more than, Haris Sohail or Shan Masood. I don't think they should get another chance to roll their arm around.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is interesting, because someone like Zafar Gohar is actually he could be effective against the right-hander, for example, in Kane Williamson. But Kane Williamson does play spin quite well. I think your point is correct in the fact that Pakistan are going to be looking to hopefully use him in the second innings when there's a bit more rough around, and actually, he'll get more turn hopefully on the track, because it'll be worn and torn. Whereas, Naseem Shah, obviously, they're hoping that he's going to be effective, but I think he went for quite a bit. I think he went for nearly fives. So, yeah, it's not ideal, obviously, and he's not in the best of form. So sometimes you do need to, as you said, just put on the spinner so that you can hopefully get a few overs in, and also maybe tie down the batsman, create a bit of pressure from one, and then you can come back. And it's a little bit diversity as well there, because sometimes just getting similar pace at you all the time, it's pretty easy to play. Although with Mohammad Abbas, he is almost like a medium pacer, but yeah, even then it's still seam up. So I agree with you that maybe they can utilize that a little bit. Okay, is that all? Or anything else you want to touch upon? Yeah, all good? Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Ashraf, for being on. Went longer than I expected, actually, but that's fine. Lots to talk about for day 2, and hopefully day 3 will be, I'm sure it'll be a barnstormer again, and hopefully Pakistan can get into a pretty decent position with some early wickets. Thanks very much, Ashraf, for being on. Again, please, guys, check out his channel, Cricket4Us 2.0. And as he said, he has his own review up as well, to go and check that out as well. He kindly came on to discuss with me. I know that he had a couple of points that he wanted to talk about. So, yeah, really good having him on. And also, guys, as well, if you want to check out our 2020 annual cricket review, kind of awards, inaugural Quality Shot Awards video that we did, which Usher is a part of, and 4 others, including Venu, who does Venu's Cricket Catch Up. Please check it out, and please remember to subscribe. Thank you very much.